Hello there, Sagittarius. Michelle B here, and I pulled some cards for a reading for you. The storyline that I'm getting from the cards that I pulled is a dynamic between you and either the projects that you're working on or a person that you're interacting with, where you've come to a stalemate, a point of you've both put in all the effort that you can. Everybody's put in all the effort that they can. It's gone to the limit at this time. So you're feeling pretty drained, especially physically. You're feeling very drained, and you're like, I don't know what steps to take next. I want to keep going, but I don't know what to do next, okay? So for those of you who resonate with that storyline and want to know more, please hang in there and listen to the rest of the reading. If that's not you, my dears, and you don't want to just hear the advice anyway, make sure and check out the readings for your other placements, your other sign placements. That's your moon, your rising, your Venus, your Mars. Different places on our charts can light up at different times in our lives. So make sure you check out readings for those either on my channel or with many other YouTube tarot readers that are out there to make sure that you get the advice that you need to get. Okay, so getting on with this reading, if you end up liking it, make sure and give it a thumbs up. That really helps me out a lot so that I can get my messages out to the people who need to hear it. So the first thing that I always do is I pull an affirmation so that I can see what positive advice we're going to get from it, and then I start looking at the clues in the cards as to like getting into the stream of your consciousness and getting a little story from that and seeing what kind of advice we can get from it, from the cards. So what I got is, when I stop and listen, my body tells me what it needs, and then I clarified it with the 10 of Swords, a little card that's about feeling like you've gone as far as you can. It's like ultimate betrayal, but it's not necessarily that it's a person that's betraying you. It's more like a system or a culture or a system. The stars are stacked against you kind of scenario, and you're like, I've pushed myself as far as I can, and now my body's starting to give out, probably because of sleepless nights and just a general atmosphere of anxiety that's been hanging over you when it comes to either your work or your love, your relationship, your companionships, or relationships with your children, relationships with people that are very meaningful. So what I have is I got this, like, I don't know if I should walk away kind of energy. You feel ashamed, like you screwed things up, like you didn't do things the right way, right? So there's that energy that's been hanging over you for a little while. It's still there with you presently, and it's making you look back and reassess what you could have done differently. But remember, everything's water under the bridge. Once you've already gone through it, you might learn your lesson from it, but you can't change what already happened. The best thing you can do is accept it and figure out what's the best step to go forward. What you're leaving behind. So I'm looking at what has been happening, right? And I have the 3 of Wands for what you're leaving behind. You're leaving behind this stagnation and waiting, but you're looking out over a desert. There's nothing being offered to you. So I feel like that exhaustion, so much exhaustion, is coming from you doing and doing and doing. You're putting that Sagittarian fire into doing things and doing things and doing things, and you're not getting the positive feedback that you wanted to get. So you're like, if you're in a connection, you're like, okay, I'll try this, and then you get nothing back that's positive, right? You get more criticism, or you get more ignoring, or you're getting the opposite of what you wanted, and that does not feel good. And so you're like, hey, wait a minute, hey, like my body is starting to betray me, because I've been betraying my body by making it feel bad all the time with my emotional state. It's time to make things fair. So going forward, you're looking toward making things more fair for yourself. You've been giving and giving and giving, and now it's time for things to be fair for you. And that might mean turning inward a little bit. That's okay for you to just take some quiet time for yourself to even though you haven't given up on what's important to you, obviously this thing, this relationship, this project, whatever it is, it's so important to you. Otherwise you wouldn't have put so much commitment into it, right? You can come back to it. You can come back and fix everything. You can fix all these cups, right? You can set them upright and fill them back up with water. You can fix all of this. But first, you have to be a healthy person yourself, okay? You have to make things fair for you. You have to nourish you before you can nourish anybody else. Now, you know this is true. You know this is true because the Spirit told you, okay? It's been coming in. I'm not the first person to mention this to you, that you need to be fair to you, that you know your truth. Now, there might be some voices internally that have been continuing to drive you forward, like you're not good enough, you're useless if you don't keep working on it. You're some bad person. That's why you have this shameful feeling, right? You're some terrible person, either internally or externally. Somebody might even be saying that to you, that you're just not a good person if you're not doing these things. But you know in your heart that you are enough as you are, that you don't have to be striving and struggling ever in order to be a whole, complete, good person, in order to be worthy, in order to be acceptable. You could do absolutely nothing but sit on a bench for the rest of your life, and you would still be the perfect representation of God's love, okay? But that's not you. That's not you. You don't want to live like that. I know, you're Sag. So you do want to be doing things. You do want to be interacting with people. You do want to be connecting, and you do want to make the world a better place. And so you're giving yourself some space. Presently and moving forward, you're giving yourself some space to heal, to recalibrate yourself, and to go forward with a new mindset. Because having that martyr mindset, this is the martyr, right? This is like equivalent of Christ on the cross. When you're in that mindset, nothing positive can come out of your actions. You cannot manifest anything positive in a relationship or in the work that you're doing in the world when you're in the complex of a martyr. So you have to readjust so that you are a whole, complete person, satisfied with yourself, and then you can step forward from a space of true inspired creativity. True inspired connection. That's what you're going for. We got the Lovers coming out in your advice. If it's not equal and fair, if the other person is not putting in their 100%, you should not be putting your energy into it, right? So you have to come into a place where you can give 100%. Not like I'm going to give it so you're going to give it too. It can't be like that. You're just giving 100% in an objective manner because you have that love to give, and the other person has to do the same thing. And if they are not doing the same thing, it's not fair. Okay, look at that balance. It's not fair. So you're not saying I'm doing all this because I want you to do that for me. It's just like, look at it objectively and say, well, is this balanced or not? That's all there is to it. It's not because I did it, you did it. That's a different mindset, isn't it? I do this in order to get something from you is a very different thing than we are both equally giving 100% into this connection. Or in that case, I do feel like some of you it's not a relationship, it is not getting the kind of feedback you should be from your audience or from the people that you serve, okay? And this could be your children. This could be relationships with your children that are not, you're not directing them in a way that enables you in a healthy way. It's too much for them and not enough feedback, positive feedback and support for you. Okay. All right. So what other advice do we have? Look at this. We have Sagittarius in their element, the King of Wands. Get back to who you are. You are royalty. You're nobody's servant. You are the person that controls your own destiny. You inspire and lead other people instead of you are the person that's working for other people all the time. And that means you have to take a little bit of control off of the situation. You can't make everything exactly the way that you want it to be all the time. You're not the King of Cups, you are the King of Wands. So you cannot control every aspect of what's happening. Instead, you inspire others to contribute in their own way. So you're inspiring your partner to contribute in their own way, not in your way. You contribute in your way, they contribute in their way. And that can be balanced. It's just different. And that's why we connect with other people, because we don't want exactly who we are. We'll never be satisfied with that, right? Or if you're working on a project in your work environment or in your family, we're looking at inspiring others to make their contribution in their own way, all right? Letting them do it their way, and see what kinds of interesting things can come of that. That can be really exciting. And that's something that I like about the star, this excitement that comes with it. Like, ooh, what could happen next? That's the hopefulness. What can happen next? If I take my fingers out of everything that's happening and just let it all play out the way that it's going to play out, what could possibly come from that? That's kind of exciting to imagine. So pulling back, saving energy for yourself. If I were you, I'd take a couple days to myself, away from that partner or away from that work environment. I'd just take as much time. If it's your family, you got kids that need your help all the time, just take some days, some time to just do the bare minimum and take care of your own physical body. Get that restful night's sleep, knowing that you have done, Sagittarius, everything that you possibly can. So you got to pull back and let the feedback come in, right? We put out effort, we wait for feedback to come in. We have to pull back in order to get the feedback. If we're always pushing, we don't get the feedback that we want. So that we know that we're on the right track. How do we adjust? And you're very good at pivoting if you're not always pushing. You have to pull back in order to know how to pivot in the next direction for the next effort. I pulled a couple of cards. If this is about a relationship where you're feeding into it and you're not getting what you want in return, I pulled a couple of cards to look into the mindset of what's going on with the other person. I got the Seven of Cups and the Moon. When it comes to the other person, I really feel like they don't know what they want, because the Moon is the card of illusion and confusion. Okay, dreamy confusion, not being very clear, and the Seven of Cups is the indecisive card. This is very much like a Libra kind of energy. So, and it doesn't have to be a Libra, but it's that indecisive, like, I don't know if I want you or not kind of attitude, and you deserve way better than that. That is something really important to remember, Sagittarius. If you're the one that's carrying the relationship, that is not a relationship. That is you doing everything for somebody else. And you have to have an equal feedback in order for it to be healthy. So you know something's not right. You are exhausted. You've had enough. Pull back and give them space to decide whether or not you're that important to them. Don't take it personally. That's just their issue. That's their issue. And I think you've been feeding so much into the connection that they don't know what is real about the relationship. That's why the Moon is here. They don't know what's real because you've been putting so much into it. Pull back and let them contribute and see what happens. Make your decisions from there. Okay. Thank you so much, Sag, for being with me today. Definitely pull back and take care of your body right now. Give it a thumbs up if you loved it. Subscribe if you like my attitude. I post readings for you, Sagittarius, every 12 days or 2 weeks or so. And I post shorts on a regular basis for your readings that go into certain time frames. Also, in the description box below, you'll find a link to my Instagram where you can follow me over there. We can be friends. I love you. I'll see you later. Bye, Sag.